Super Mario Maker for Nintendo 3DS. With a critic score around 73, this handheld adaptation lands at the bottom of the ranking. It brought the creative level-building concept of the Wii U original to Nintendo's portable system, allowing players to design and play their own Mario stages wherever they went. The biggest issue was that several key online features were missing, including the ability to freely share levels with players around the world. Because community creations were such a major part of the original experience, critics felt the game lost much of its appeal. Even so, the core building tools remained entertaining, and younger players especially enjoyed experimenting with their own ideas. It serves as an interesting example of how difficult it can be to fully recreate an online-focused game on more limited hardware. Super Mario Run. Scoring around 76, Nintendo's first major smartphone Mario game was a very different take on the series. Instead of controlling every movement, players focused mainly on jumping while Mario ran automatically. The simplified controls made the game easy to pick up, especially for people who had never played a Mario title before. Critics generally appreciated how well Nintendo adapted Mario's mechanics to touchscreens, but many felt the game lacked the depth and freedom found in traditional entries. The pricing model also sparked debate at launch. Despite those concerns, Super Mario Run marked an important moment in Nintendo's history, as the company expanded one of its most recognizable characters onto mobile devices.
Super Mario Land. With a score near 78, this Game Boy launch title helped prove that Mario could succeed outside of home consoles. Released in 1989, it introduced players to the kingdom of Sarasaland rather than the familiar Mushroom Kingdom. The game featured unusual enemies, unique environments inspired by different cultures, and even a few vehicle-based stages. Hardware limitations meant the adventure was shorter and simpler than its NES counterparts, but it still delivered the satisfying platforming players expected. For many Game Boy owners, this was one of their first experiences with Mario, making it an important chapter in the franchise's growth. New Super Mario Bros. 2. Also earning about 78, this Nintendo 3DS sequel placed a heavy emphasis on collecting coins. Nearly every level contained special opportunities to gather enormous amounts of treasure, and entire game modes were built around chasing higher coin totals. The platforming remained polished and responsive, which is something the new Super Mario Bros. Series consistently delivered. However, critics often felt the game played things too safely. While enjoyable, it introduced fewer memorable innovations than many previous Mario adventures. Even so, its accessible design made it popular with families and players looking for a traditional side-scrolling experience.
Super Mario Land 2 – 6 Golden Coins. With a score around 80, this sequel represented a major leap forward from the first one. The levels were larger, the worlds were more imaginative, and the visuals pushed the Game Boy hardware much further. Most importantly, the game introduced Wario, who would eventually become one of Nintendo's most famous recurring characters. Rather than following a linear path, players could choose the order in which they tackled several different regions. That added a sense of freedom rarely seen in portable games of the early 1990s. Many fans still consider it one of the strongest titles ever released on the Game Boy. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Scoring around 80, this Nintendo Switch release combined New Super Mario Bros. U and New Super Luigi U into a single package. The collection offered a large amount of content, including dozens of levels and multiple playable characters. Critics generally praised the excellent platforming, which remained as refined as ever. At the same time, the game faced the challenge of being a re-release rather than a completely new adventure. Players who had already experienced it on Wii U found fewer reasons to revisit it. For newcomers, however, it became one of the easiest ways to experience modern 2D Mario at its best. Super Mario Bros. 2. With a score near 81, this remains one of the most unusual entries in the entire series. Instead of jumping on enemies to defeat them, players often picked up vegetables, objects, and even opponents before throwing them. Each playable character had unique abilities, giving Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad distinct strengths and weaknesses. The game's dreamlike environments and strange creatures gave it a personality unlike any other Mario title. Although it differed dramatically from the formula established by the first game, many of its ideas eventually became permanent parts of the franchise. Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Earning roughly 82, this collection brought together three of Mario's most influential adventures: Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy. For many players, the package offered a chance to revisit classics on modern hardware. Critics appreciated the convenience of having these landmark games available on Nintendo Switch, especially for younger audiences who had never played them before. However, some reviewers felt the collection lacked the extensive upgrades and bonus features often found in modern remasters. Even so, the historical value of these three games helped make the collection an important release for longtime fans.
New Super Mario Bros. U. With a score around 84, this Wii U launch title continued the formula established by earlier New Super Mario Bros. Games. The adventure featured a large interconnected world map, challenging secret exits and cooperative multiplayer gameplay. Critics praised the consistently strong level design and polished controls. While some reviewers argued that the series was becoming familiar, the quality of the platforming remained difficult to criticize. Looking back, many players now view it as one of the stronger entries in the new Super Mario Bros. Line. Super Mario Bros. With a score near 86, the game that started it all appears surprisingly low only because so many later Mario titles achieved extraordinary critical success. Released in 1985 for the NES, it helped revive the video game industry after a difficult period and introduced millions of players to side-scrolling platforming. The game's simple controls, memorable music, and carefully designed levels created a foundation that countless future games would build upon. Many mechanics that seem standard today were revolutionary at the time. Its influence stretches far beyond the Mario franchise itself.
New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Scoring around 87, this Wii release brought four-player cooperative gameplay to the mainline Mario series for the first time. Friends and family could work together through levels, although the experience often became wonderfully chaotic as players accidentally interfered with one another. Critics praised the multiplayer component and the game's strong collection of stages. It balanced accessibility for newcomers with enough challenge to satisfy experienced fans. Commercially, it became one of the best-selling Mario games ever made and helped introduce a new generation to 2D platforming. Super Mario Maker. With a score around 88, this Wii U title transformed players into game designers. Using intuitive creation tools, fans could build their own Mario levels and share them online. The game allowed creators to use visual styles from several different eras of Mario history, from the original NES game to New Super Mario Bros. Critics praised both the accessibility of the editor and the seemingly endless supply of community-made content. The game celebrated decades of Mario design while giving players a deeper appreciation for what makes great platforming levels work.
Super Mario Maker 2. Also scoring about 88, the sequel expanded nearly every aspect of the original concept. New themes, enemies, mechanics, and online features gave creators far more freedom. A dedicated story mode also demonstrated the possibilities of the new tools through a series of professionally designed stages. Critics appreciated how much content was packed into the experience. Whether players preferred creating, sharing, or simply playing levels built by others, there was almost always something new to discover. The game became a showcase for the creativity of the Mario community. New Super Mario Bros. With a score near 89, this Nintendo DS title successfully revived traditional 2D Mario after years of focus on 3D adventures. The game blended classic side-scrolling gameplay with modern visual techniques and new mechanics, such as the Mega Mushroom. Critics appreciated its accessibility and polished design, while longtime fans appreciated the return to familiar platforming roots. It also became one of the Nintendo DS's defining releases, helping introduce Mario to millions of portable players during the handheld's enormously successful lifespan. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Scoring around 89, this enhanced Switch release paired an already acclaimed platformer with a brand new adventure. The original Super Mario 3D World offered cooperative gameplay, inventive stages, and a perfect balance between accessibility and challenge. Bowser's Fury added something entirely different by placing Mario in a large, interconnected environment that encouraged exploration. Critics were particularly interested in this new mode because it hinted at possible directions for future Mario games. Together, the package delivered both a beloved classic and an intriguing glimpse into the franchise's future. Super Mario 3D Land. With a score around 90, this Nintendo 3DS title successfully bridged the gap between 2D and 3D Mario design. Levels were compact and focused like traditional side-scrolling stages, yet players still moved through fully three-dimensional spaces. The game made excellent use of the handheld's stereoscopic 3D technology, helping players judge depth more easily. Critics praised its creativity and accessibility, making it an ideal introduction to 3D Mario for younger audiences. Its success also laid the groundwork for the later development of Super Mario 3D World. Super Mario Sunshine. Earning roughly 92, this GameCube adventure took Mario to the tropical Isle Delfino and introduced the Flood Water device. The gadget allowed players to hover, spray water, and interact with the environment in entirely new ways. Sunshine stood apart from other Mario games thanks to its bright atmosphere and focus on a single connected setting. Critics praised its creativity and ambitious design, although some players found certain challenges frustrating. Over time, the game developed a devoted fan base that appreciates its willingness to experiment. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. With a score around 92, this modern 2D adventure brought fresh imagination to a formula that had existed for decades. The introduction of Wonder Flowers transformed levels in unpredictable ways, causing dramatic changes to the environment, gameplay, and even the characters themselves. Critics praised the constant sense of surprise and the game's vibrant visual style. It felt both familiar and completely new at the same time. For many reviewers, Wonder demonstrated that traditional side-scrolling Mario still had plenty of room for innovation.
Super Mario 3D World. Scoring around 93, this Wii U release combined the precision of 2D Mario design with the freedom of 3D movement. Each stage introduced new ideas at a rapid pace, ensuring that the experience rarely felt repetitive. The cat suit became one of the game's most memorable additions, allowing players to climb walls and explore levels in new ways. Critics praised the cooperative gameplay, inventive level design, and remarkable consistency. What was once considered an underrated Wii U title eventually gained broader recognition as one of Mario's finest adventures. Super Mario World. With a score around 94, this Super Nintendo classic expanded Mario's universe in meaningful ways. The introduction of Yoshi added an entirely new layer to gameplay, while the world map encouraged exploration and discovery. Hidden exits led to secret routes, bonus areas, and alternate paths through the adventure. Critics praised its refined controls, imaginative levels, and incredible sense of polish. More than 30 years after its release, it remains a benchmark for 2D platform design and a favorite among many longtime fans.
Super Mario 64. Also scoring around 94, this Nintendo 64 landmark changed the industry forever. Moving Mario into 3 dimensions was an enormous challenge, yet the game succeeded in ways few thought possible. Players could freely explore large environments, collect stars in different orders, and experiment with a wide range of movement options. The analog controls felt revolutionary at the time, giving Mario a level of precision and freedom never seen before. Many design principles introduced here would influence 3D games across the entire industry for years to come. Super Mario Galaxy. With a score around 97, Mario's first journey into space pushed the franchise in a bold new direction. The game used gravity as a core mechanic, allowing players to run around tiny planets and leap between celestial bodies. Each world introduced fresh ideas and visual spectacles, creating a constant sense of discovery.
Critics praised the game's creativity, orchestral soundtrack, and polished design. Few titles have captured such a strong feeling of wonder, making Galaxy one of the most celebrated platformers ever created.
Super Mario Galaxy 2. Also earning about 97, this sequel refined an already extraordinary formula. Rather than focusing heavily on story, the game concentrated on delivering one exceptional gameplay idea after another. New power-ups, imaginative worlds, and the return of Yoshi helped keep every stage feeling fresh. Critics frequently highlighted the game's remarkable consistency, noting how rarely any level felt like filler. Many reviewers considered it one of the finest examples of pure game design ever produced, which explains why it remains near the very top of the ranking. Super Mario Odyssey. Matching the score of 97, this Nintendo Switch adventure returned Mario to large sandbox-style worlds filled with secrets. The introduction of Cappy gave players the ability to capture and control enemies, objects, and creatures throughout the game. This single mechanic dramatically expanded the possibilities for exploration and puzzle solving. Critics praised the freedom, creativity, and sheer amount of content hidden within every kingdom. Odyssey successfully combined ideas from earlier 3D Mario games while introducing enough new concepts to feel completely fresh. It quickly became one of the defining titles of the Nintendo Switch era. Super Mario Bros. 3. Holding the highest critic score at roughly 98, this NES masterpiece takes the top position. Released near the end of the console's life cycle, it showcased just how much Nintendo had learned since the original Super Mario Bros. The game introduced an overworld map, a huge variety of themed worlds, memorable power-ups like the Tanuki suit, and a level of polish that few games of its era could match. Every stage seemed to contain a new idea, secret, or challenge. Critics have long praised its balance of creativity and accessibility, and its influence can still be seen throughout modern platform games. Decades after release, Super Mario Bros. 3 remains one of the clearest examples of game design operating at the highest level.